Hello, everyone. I'm Fabian, a product manager at GitLab. And in this short video, I'm going to talk a little bit about how to take time off from work as a PM at GitLab. But before I get into the details of suggestions and tips, how to make it a bit easier, I would like to highlight the importance of actually taking time off from work for a variety of reasons. So taking time off at GitLab is really strongly recommended, especially for a longer period of time. For example, 2 consecutive weeks where you have truly time to disconnect. It's important for maintaining a healthy work-life balance, and it's also important for putting your family and friends first, which is one of our core values at GitLab. There are a number of other benefits for your physical health and your mental health. So really ask yourself, did I take enough paid time off from work in the last 3 to 6 months? And then there are maybe periods of time that are extended. For example, I just came back from 6 weeks of parental leave. So there's also life events that may require you to prioritize differently and spend time away. So do make taking time off a priority. And in this video, I'll also share some of the strategies that allow you to do this without having to worry about what is happening at work at this moment in time. So let me quickly share my screen. The first thing here, and this is as a PM also really important, is to take a look at the paid time off policy in our handbook. It lays out specific guidelines for specific life situations, and it also emphasizes again the importance of actually considering taking time off. So when you've decided that you are actually ready to take time off, maybe 2 weeks or maybe even longer, for example, for parental leave, the first and I think really important thing is to communicate transparently to your team that this is something that is going to happen. And here the GitLab team members guide to time off lays out specifically who needs to be informed, what you need to do, and have a look, read through it. There are very clear steps on what to do and who needs to be informed. So this is number one. Just be very transparent and clear that you are going to be away for a specific time and communicate that very broadly. But as a product manager, the prospect of taking off from work may be quite daunting because you're very involved in our monthly release cycle, and you may feel that there is really no space at some point to actually just, go on a vacation. So this should not be a problem if you think about creating a handover or coverage issue. This is really the second thing that is really important. When you are going to be away, you need to think about specific folks that will be the directly responsible individuals for, for tasks, right, that may come up, operational things that need to happen at a specific time, but also people who are empowered to actually make some product decisions. By default, these responsibilities will fall to your manager, but there may be another PM, there may actually be your engineering manager or a designer. So there can be different folks who may actually cover you while you are away. And for the product team, there's a template, an issue template, the PM coverage issue here. And that actually lays out some sections already that should help you specifically spell out, for example, here, who is responsible for specific themes, right? Where's this information kept? And you can really sort of write those down ahead of time to make sure that that is particularly well understood. There may be also some other additional tasks, what needs to be done by specific dates. This is often related to our release cycle. So make sure that folks actually are assigned to those tasks and that you are able to specifically cover the things that need to happen at times. And then there's references to the handbook page. Because I just came back from leave, I want to highlight a few things that also worked well for me. So this is an issue that I created. As you can see, I dedicated some DRIs and specified some tasks and some dates. And something else that is really important is, to provide the context for your DRIs for important pages. For example, your direction page for your category strategy, the roadmap, specific boards, and specific epics. So the purpose of this, and ultimately the goal here, is that no information is siloed away in your brain that is important for the folks that are covering you while you are away. If they can't see and can't find and discover this information, it will be really hard. So before you actually go on vacation, ensure that your direction page is up to date, ensure that things are written down and documented properly, and really try to avoid the siloed knowledge where when you're away, it's essentially gone. Another thing that I recommend is, and I think many product managers at GitLab do this right now, is to create planning issues for upcoming releases. So we release every month. If you are gone for 2 weeks, maybe there's only one planning issue. If you're gone for a longer period of time, you may be able to draft some more planning issues ahead of time. They may not be perfect, but they actually provide sort of guardrails and guidelines for the folks covering you to understand what you intend to do in the next period of time. Another easy technique to help prioritize in your absence is to create, for example, an epic stack rank to define priorities. Say, this is the most important thing right now, this is the second most important thing, and then the team can essentially go through this list and actually make decisions along the way to deliver. And all of this should really provide enough context and enough information for your coverage to make good decisions in your absence. For a 2-week vacation, that may not be as extensive as maybe for a longer period of time for parental leave, but the essence of it is write down the things that are important, define the responsibilities and tasks, provide enough context, and in general, also ensure that your thinking is not only in your head, but that it's written down so people can reference it in your absence. Lastly, don't do all of this 2 days before you go on vacation. Allow for enough time to receive feedback, to collaborate with your team and the people that will cover you. Maybe synchronous discussions will help to actually eliminate some misunderstandings. Really ensure that before you go, people are on the same page. And if you do this, you can be sure that while you are away, your responsibilities are delegated, work will continue, and you can focus and not focus on what you're doing and not worry about work. When you return, it's really important to also acknowledge that you may have missed some things, your response times may be slower. So again, be transparent, work with your DRIs and your coverage to understand where things are at, and then onboard essentially to your team one step at a time. We also have specific guidelines for longer periods of absence that I would like to briefly highlight. So for example, if you're returning to work after parental leave, there are also here some tips for a smoother transition and, for example, the opportunity to return work at 50% capacity. So there's a lot of information already out there, but please do remember that taking leave is important for a number of very important reasons, like your mental health, your physical health, prioritizing the things that matter most in your life. And if you organize it, it'll work out really well. So I hope these things helped, and enjoy your leave.